Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonus.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonus. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And the number to reach me this hour on this Friday, 800-848-9222. Dominic Carter here with you. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. So I have done many book interviews, but never one so close as right now. So, for example, earlier this week, if you were listening, we had on Sean Spicer, President Trump's former press secretary, discussing his book. Today, I'm talking about a book that is very, very personal to me. And I'm joined by a guest. And the title of this brand new book is More Than a Diagnosis. And it says, Raising a Child with Epilepsy and Learning Disabilities, a story of faith, advocacy, and unbreakable love. And the author is someone I've known for a pretty long time. Her name is Marilyn Carter, my wife, who's joining me for the first half of the show. Hello, young lady.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So I'm looking at your book, and it's a book about our son. And why did you write this book?
Well, the more I think about it and I read the captions in the book, I believe it's a love story. It's a love story not just with mother and son, but also my mom, because she has shaped my characteristics in order to go on with a lot of the things that happen within your lifestyle, within your home.
And so, I almost don't know where to go with this because, and we see the calls are coming in. And again, every time Marilyn comes on, we get flooded with telephone calls of people dealing with disabilities, people dealing with epilepsy. Neither one of us knew that this was in our future.
That's correct.
And so let's go back. So I'm looking at the cover. There's you, and there's an insert of our son as a little boy. To people that don't know Dominic, tell them his story.
Well, Dominic was my angel. He, and along with his sister Courtney, were my gift to my mother, who suffered so much loss in her life. And here was a new generation that I was handing over to her, only to find out when Dominic's about 18 months old that his disease was epilepsy. And then as he entered the school system, we found out that he had a learning disability.
Now, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to say this because people don't know the pain that you just mentioned that my mother-in-law, Ruby Stevens, went through. Mm-hmm. And as you know, I loved my mother-in-law, I don't want to get in
more
trouble.
More than me, so go ahead. I said
I'm not going to say more than you,
fine.
but okay, so I don't want to gloss over this, right? Because there's so many stories in your book. And, I'm from the Bronx. You're from Harlem. You're one of 11. I was a single child for many years. And you went through a lot of heartache because you lost how many brothers to drugs or AIDS or whatever the case may have been?
I would say 8, and then I lost my younger brother because he had medical issues.
Right, your younger brother, Kenneth, and he's a central part of this book as well. Kenneth You never know what life throws you, folks. So Kenneth was a nice teenager, goes to sleep one night, wakes up the next morning, never to walk again in his life. And I'm all over the place, but and he spent the rest of his life until he died. Mm-hmm. That was one of the times that I cried like a baby. I'm in television. I'm in the emergency room at Columbia, the ICU at Columbia Presbyterian, and I'm looking at him, what's left of his body, and there are tubes everywhere, and he's about to die, and he does die, and life had been so unfair to him. So Kenneth, your brother, he just woke up one day and never walked again, correct?
Yes, we knew he had problems. It's called AV malformation, so we've been dealing with that practically since Kenneth was in kindergarten himself. And at this time, a lot of doctors didn't know how to treat it. And so, they send you home with antibiotics, but we now know that when you take so many antibiotics, when you really, really need it, it's not going to do anything for you. So one of the things that they did, they ended up amputating his leg. He was in a wheelchair. But the most important thing, Kenneth enjoyed life. Even being in that wheelchair, he would always have friends over and the family would come over. My mother's kitchen would turn into a social club for him. And so with that, as I wrote the book and I started looking at my memories, when we got the diagnosis for Dominic, first thing in my mind said, here we go again. I'm living my mother's life.
And that you thought that our son was going to end up like your brother Kenneth.
Yes.
So Kenneth is one of the stories that you tell. And my wife, she's with me for the first half of the program. We'll get to Trump in the second half. 800-848-9222. She's taking your telephone calls. So we'll get to some of those in just a second. So that's one of the stories. Mm-hmm. Second story is losing 8 brothers to either violence in Harlem, drugs in Harlem, or AIDS in Harlem.
Correct.
How tough was that on you?
Oh, it seemed like every year, my brothers and I came up during the drug epidemic of heroin and crack cocaine. And it's sad to say, but they indulged in it. And in indulging in that form of drug use or drug abuse, the consequences for them were either overdoses or just a hodgepodge of many ailments that these drugs created. And so my mom and dad had to bury them. And so she suffered, the whole family suffered, but she's mom. And I felt her pain. And then when we got the diagnosis about Dominic, I felt it even more. I could understand my mother even more than I did as a youngster. Because through it all, she suffered, but she never showed it on her sleeve. She got up every day and did what she had to do to take care of the other children and her grandchildren. And that's a model that I follow. It took me a while to get there, though, after Dominic's diagnosis, but each day brings something different.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.